and that's why they won. And that's one promising thing. Defensively, they might have got a bad break today, but they got a good break. That Griffith and Washington suffered a concussion today. I don't think he'll be playing next Sunday after having the concussion today. But that Smith, who just shows you how lousy their pass defense is without him, he went out of the game, and all of a sudden they start throwing the ball left and right.
A little bit, but they weren't scoring touchdowns. No. They were just kind of moving it up and down.
Playing a little prevent when you're that far ahead anyway, aren't you? By the way, what surprises me, though, what was our big concern? Everybody thought that the offensive line had something to learn, and it certainly improved, but we all thought it was going to be a porous defense. That's what's amazing is that the way they played. I know it was Tennessee, but they shut down the Lions. The Lions got 6 points against them until the last 3-4 minutes, and 3 straight weeks of excellent defense is what surprises me.
The thing is, too, in the last couple of weeks, the defensive lines put more pressure on the opposing quarterback, and that helps out the defense going back to the linebackers and
the defensive secondary. Lavelle, even when they didn't have great pressure on, he was looking. These coverage, they call them coverage sacks or just good coverage, but boy, they changed the safeties, and that changed everything on this team.
Harrison Smith is a player, although,
he's one of the Notre Dame guys.
He picked a heck of a time to get thrown out of a game when the commissioner of football is there right in front of the commissioner.
Talking to Harrison after the game, I don't think he had any idea who he bumped or...
I'm sure you don't. I had a long talk with him.
What did you tell him? Do you say just keep your cool, or what do you say?
Keep the cool?
Yeah.
As far as Smith goes?
Yeah.
I didn't talk to Smith. I talked to Smith, but... No. I just listened to what he said about that thing, but I think they'll suspend him a couple of games. I think you touch an official.
I think he'll get a big fine. I don't think he'll get suspended. You're going to pick up the fine, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
It wasn't flagrant. It wasn't flagrant. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he knew.
Yeah. But the guy that grabbed the replacement official,
Belichick, coming off the field.
Belichick ended up getting fined, but he didn't get suspended.
I can see Smith getting $25,000. He's already been fined once this year, right? Didn't he get fined?
They might fine him a little more. He got fined last week, right? For hitting Calvin Johnson high. He's a tough kid, boy.
Well, I was talking to a guy, and
Rodney Harrison.
I talked to Notre Dame during the week. I said, "What is this with this guy?" He said, "Boy, he's a mean person."
But he's not. I mean, he's a nice kid.
But when he gets on the football field, I know guys that were Angels. They got on that football field. John Randall was a good example. You talk about a guy being an angel off the field, and then he gets on the field, he wants to kill somebody.
You know he was working for Tennessee. I didn't realize we were walking. Keith Millard. Did you talk to him?
No, I didn't talk to Keith.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Defensive line coach?
He must be the assistant defensive line coach
Those
or something.
guys better all sign short leases for their properties down there in Tennessee. There's going to be a change down there after this year.
Yeah, that's a one bad team, man. They got some talent issues, and they got first year head coach. Is he going to last beyond this year or what?
Wasn't it that guy that was there forever?
Munchak, right? Mike Munchak.
He was an assistant there forever.
Yeah. I talked to Steve Hutchinson for a few minutes. I felt sorry for him.
I saw him too after the game. I saw him too after the game. He looked a little beaten.
Talent evaluators are saying he's done. He's cooked. He's not doing anything.
That's true. He got a good contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was that good of a player during his heyday, man. I mean, the Vikings signed him away from Seattle with that. Was the poison pill contract? Was that it? Yeah?
Yes. He had to be the highest paid lineman on your team, and Seattle already had
a big time.
Some guy.
They couldn't match it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, but overall, said 4-1. You have to be pleased.
Well, the schedule is so much in their favor. I mean, the teams. Arizona, they get beat today again by
Thursday. Thursday they got beat.
Thursday
they got beat.
They can't protect at all. I marked that down as another Vikings victory.
That's why Kevin Kolb was afraid, because he's always looking around waiting to get hit.
They've given up 8 sacks in consecutive games.
Was that Arizona?
Yes. Arizona. They can't protect at all.
So there is no great team right now.
Point is this: the schedule is so much in their favor of things happening for them. They got the bye week, and then they got 6 games, 4 with 2 with Green Bay, 2 with the Bears, 1 with Houston. I forgot who the other game was.
Detroit.
Detroit.
That's a pretty formidable schedule to end with, though. You better be ready by the time you get there.
Green Bay's going to need 2 wins by then.
They may catch Washington next week without RG3, right? Because he was knocked out with a concussion.
He went on Twitter and said he'll play, but he thinks he'll pass the test and play. But who knows?
Who's that, Griffin?
He might not have
Griffin.
Yeah, Robert Griffin III, the quarterback for the Washington.
They're going to let him play in with that.
Well, why wouldn't they?
1 week,
well,
are they?
If he
baseline test.
passes the test on Wednesday or Thursday, he plays.
It's setting him nice for the Vikings and the Bears.
Take a break.
Who's the backup there?
Cousins.
J.D. Hoyt's, that's where Sid Hartman likes to go. First a salad, then a steak. With Sid Hartman.
Yeah.
Be there by 8.
One of many good restaurants in this town.
And you like that one. That's a good place to go eat. J.D. Hoyt's. I got to stop in there and see Pat soon.
It would have been nice to have a nice warm pork chop after today. Man, it's freezing out. What happened in this godforsaken
It dropped in the 20s last night.
I know it.
20s.
What happened in this
Wasn't it like
godforsaken
80
steak?
a couple weeks ago?
Hey, so is this NFL? This is kind of the way they like it. I mean, nobody thought after the Vikings are in first place.
You got
the
two
Packers,
unbeaten,
did you see how they lost today?
I could not believe they lost. I did not watch the second half. They were ahead 21-3 late in the first half and got beat. How they get beat?
Yeah,
They started getting pressure on Rodgers, and Luck started making some plays.
it wasn't Luck. It was Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne ended up catching with 212
I suppose
yards.
that's your team, huh? The Colts?
No.
Kind of come from Indiana?
No. I'm a Bears guy. I'm a Southside Chicago guy. But it was impressive.
But
I mean, Luck's going to be a heck of a quarterback. He made some nice reads, and he
Who's that
he
now?
stood in the pocket and
Andrew
took
Luck.
some hits. Andrew Luck, the first overall pick.
He's
I said, talking about Green Bay getting beat.
The thing was that the head coach Chuck Pagano was out because he got leukemia, and both teams were. I mean, it was an emotional day at Lucas Oil Stadium. It's
crazy
because of
they should have been emotional in the first half. They were getting their ass kicked. So I don't know what happened.
How well these teams do one year and so bad the next year, and how some teams do so terrible and do so good.
What's
the
your
next
theory
year.
on that?
Huh?
What's your theory?
I have no theory. I mean, maybe they lose players, free agents, or something like that. You talk about crazy things happening in football. I watched that Ohio State-Nebraska game Saturday night. I couldn't believe what was going on. Nebraska completely dominated that game early. They were running wild, and all of a sudden, Ohio runs up 56 points on them.
Every time you look, there's a
Ohio
highlight.
State had spent a month playing the Little Sisters, having 16 points in the middle of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They couldn't score against anybody,
Man, it's
and
just
they
hard.
get 63.
It's just hard to watch the Big Ten right now.
63 they got?
I watched Michigan State struggle against Indiana, and then what was the other game? It ended up being a nail biter. I had 3 Big Ten games on it once on Saturday.
Wisconsin had to fight mightily to beat your Illinois.
That's the best game we've played this year, and
Big
we still
Ten-
lost like 28
Big
to
Ten
14.
It's the worst it's ever been, I think. There isn't one team in that league that could compete with the top 3, 4, or 5 teams in the Southeast Conference. There's no comparison.
But watch out for Ohio State going forward, because if they can be like this now, they can be pretty good.
They
I
only
think.
have 1 year of probation.
Yeah.
How about Penn State Northwestern? How about that game? Northwestern was up by 11 in the fourth quarter and lost.
Give them 22 straight points.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Penn State go 8-0. Wouldn't that be
They
beautiful?
might. Well, they could.
They're 4-2 now. They're 4-2 right
but
now.
they're unbeaten
No,
in
not
the Big
4-2.
Ten. They're
Those guys
Sidney, give me-
have done a good job at Penn State. They got 2 former Gopher coaches there.
Yeah.
Ted Ruff
Ted Ruff's
is the
the defensive
defensive coordinator. John, what's his last name? John.
I don't know who the other one is.
linebacking coach.
What's with Ted Ruffs? He's got happy feet, man. He left here and he
Auburn, and then
Went to Central Florida, quit there, and went to
he must be high maintenance, Ted Ruff.
moves
he
around.
made a
pretty
lot of
good.
money at Auburn too. He's probably making a lot of money now.
I don't know
So
what
give me your theory on the Northwestern game next week, based on what you saw yesterday, their game against Penn State. How did the Gophers stack up?
Northwestern offensively is pretty good, but defensively they're terrible. So I think the Gophers can handle them. I really do.
I don't think Gray's going to play right now. Do you?
Well, as of today, he's not going to play, but they got an orthopedist that's the best in the business, Mr. Pat Smith. And I'll tell you what, he'll find some way sooner or later to get him ready.
It's just those high ankle sprains. Sometimes that's just
well, his
patience.
knee
get in.
too.
Yeah.
Although the kid at home has been pretty good, Chartel. At home, he's been good.
It's the only place he played until he went to Iowa. Was at home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What's your theory, Patrick? How do you assess them going forward in the Big Ten?
There's a lot of teams you can beat. Michigan State, you thought was a loss for sure. They stink. Wisconsin,
Purdue.
you thought was a loss for sure. They
could
stink.
beat, yeah.
The only team they can't beat is who am I thinking?
At Nebraska, probably.
At Nebraska is probably the only game they can't win.
Michigan, though, tough time at Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, yeah.
You know, Gophers' defense has been better than I expected going into the season. I'm curious to see what happens next week because Northwestern has a pretty good quarterback. He can throw the ball and run a little bit. He's kind of a dual threat guy.
Yeah, did you see their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year is now playing receiver?
I know. How about
And they
that?
throw to him, and then once in a while he'll come in and run the option. He'll
Yeah.
just stay in the huddle. And
Yeah, so that's going to be an extra wrinkle for the Gophers to look at.
hasn't Northwestern, though, haven't they really screwed up the Big Ten, though, Lavelle? Because we had all these theories that Minnesota can't win, and Northwestern, high academic school, went and started winning games. And they've kind of screwed everybody up here because they don't have a loyal fan base. They don't have any of the things that you're supposed to have to win football games.
You know, Pat Fitzgerald has taken him a few years to kind of get his footing, but he has installed a pretty decent program there. They're not going to get in the running for 5-star recruits or a lot of 4 stars.
We got a theory
but they're
coming.
going to coach people
Don't
up
worry.
and be
They get
competitive.
kids in school. So when Whatchagall was there, who went to Colorado and got
Gary
fired,
Barnett?
he competed with the best for players.
Well, their best coach recent years was Randy Walker. He ended up passing away, and they kind of suffered because of that. Walker had those guys.
They've won a lot of games over the last 20 years at that school.
They've improved a lot since I saw them tear down the goalpost for beating a Smoky Joe Salem team.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what,
They tore down the goalpost after beating a team that had given up 84 points to Nebraska.
years ago, when Bierman was great, Waldorf gave him all he wanted years ago.
Six
Lynn
to
Waldorf, Pappy
nothing.
Waldorf, he gave him all he wanted.
I bet he cheated too, Pappy Waldorf.
Pappy Waldorf was getting players in from the north side of Chicago that other people couldn't get.
How about that?
Northwestern beat the national championship team, the only game they lost.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
But Bernie Bierman was coaching. That was
Right.
a different era. Take a break, come back. There it is. Stop on by, see Bruce Boney and the whole group Audi right off of 394 and Gentlemen's Boulevard. Wow, that's a comfortable ride any time of year. I like the Q7. Did you see I got this? This is from the Vikings. They've got a fan club.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, and I got a temporary honorary knighthood today.
You're a big fan of Vikings.
Really?
Yep.
At a tailgating party? Or?
A tailgating party.
Okay,
yep.
good.
I had to sit on a knee and they put a
I
thing
hope
on.
my guy Larry Spooner
I'll give
Different
you
lot.
Different
Let me tell
okay.
you something. I'll give you credit. While doing the TV, our radio show today, we watched that TV show you put together. I know nobody else did any work on it. You did the work.
No, we got a good crew on that.
Yeah, I know. BS.
No,
I see out every day. You
No, it was fun.
do a heck
It was
of a
fun.
job today.
That does Life to the Max show he's talking about.
Half-hour show.
It's fun, yeah. Lavelle?
I've seen those shows.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's a good
Last
show.
night we had a group down in the Dominican.
No
Not
kidding.
looking for baseball players.
It
Building
should have been.
schools,
How about
yeah.
cigars?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's good stuff. The Minnesota Twins had press conferences this week.
Yes, they did. It was an interesting week over at One Twins Way as they laid waste to a bunch of members of the coaching staff. It was, I think it was expected. You know, they couldn't lose 195 games in 2 seasons and not try to change some things up. I'm still a little surprised that Jerry White got the heave-ho. Royce is still shocked that Scott Aldridge is still on the staff. But, you know, it's opened up for 3 guys from Rochester probably to join the staff. Gene Glenn. I've known Gene for years when he was a scout for the Tampa Bay Rays. And Tom Brunansky, who has done a lot of good things with some of the prospects down in the minors. And Bobby Quire, who's been in the organization for a while.
So is it I asked that same question. Is it a slam dunk? I thought maybe a slam dunk with these guys, but they make it look like they're interviewing a bunch of people and they got their eyes on other people. Patrick?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, everybody assumes the 3 guys from Rochester are moving up. Is that what you
I'm
think?
pretty
Sid?
sure they're all set.
I know Bobby Cuellar's in good shape, you know, because Terry said they want a Spanish speaker on the coaching staff. And Bobby, when he was in Pittsburgh with John Russell, was the bullpen coach. So it's kind of like having 1A pitching.
Yep.
And what'll be interesting is how he and Anderson work together. If Anderson lets him work with the pitchers or not.
So, but what's your take on that? Is this just window dressing for a bad season or what?
No, I think that, you know, I think having Brunansky as your hitting coach might get in somebody's face. I like Joe Favre, a good guy, but, you know, I remember doing a piece I've been trying to interview Joe on Delman Young's first year here, and he was afraid that Delman would see me talking to Joe and then have some quotes in the next day's paper from him. I don't think Tom Brunansky is going to be intimidated by a guy like Delman Young, you know.
You know, and Gene Glenn is a former third base coach. He's coached at third base in the majors before, so it seems like that's a good fit
He's
for him.
He's a good baseball man.
To get him at third base, and Bernanke knows hitting. And
you know, now, in other words, unlike Steve Little, if a guy hits a home run, he'll wave him home.
Yeah, that's right.
Steve was the most conservative third base coach till the last month. He knew he was gone, then he was waving everybody. What the hell? He knew he was going to get.
You just miss Al nonstop Numi at third.
Yes, I do.
Well, they had to do something, but I think they'll spend some money for a couple of free agent pitchers.
I'll go back to. I'm going to say it again though. What good pitchers want to come here?
Except you quoted Jim Pullett as saying, "I can and I can't." St. Peter says he didn't exactly say
that's exactly what Jim Pullett said. It's on tape.
He basically said, we never put a limit on them, but we tell them what they can spend.
Yeah. It was weird. You know, we haven't given Terry the budget number, but he kind of has the guidelines, you know. I think they've always had some flexibility to go to push the payroll to whatever their limit is in the past. I don't know if they're ready to.
If they're smart, they'll trade Span for the best pitcher they can get and Morneau for the best pitcher they can get and then sign one.
Yeah. They got to get a couple of 180 innings. I'm sorry, Sid, you go ahead.
Here's your problem. If a club's got a good pitcher, they ain't going to let him go. That's the one part. You're going to have trouble.
You got to do what Pittsburgh did with the Yankees. They got A.J. Burnett because he's worn out his welcome in New York, and he came in and pitched like hell.
Right.
Get a guy like Ricky Romero from Toronto who had a terrible year but has got a pretty good track record.
Who the Twins have been interested in the past.
Well, that was the Jack Morris story in '91.
And then fix him. Fix him. Get somebody in here who can fix him.
With us. Hey, don't forget, there it is. Taste the NFL. Wayne Kostrowski's at the game today with Roger Goodell. Help fight hunger with Taste the NFL and Minnesota Vikings. Sample food and wine from the Twin Cities' finest restaurants while rubbing shoulders with your favorite 2012 Vikings players and coaches. For tickets and more information, visit Vikings.com/Taste of the NFL. Kind of fun to see Goodell and Wayne Kostrowski out there today. They're good friends from the past. The commissioner was in town today.
Mm-hmm.
He seems that, when you talk to him, he's kind of got a good sense of humor.
He's a good guy. I spent a little time with him in Mr. Wolf's box, and we had a nice talk. He's been a good friend for a long time. I've known him. He's a pretty sharp cookie, but he's got a lot of problems in the league because a lot of guys want to get rid of the revenue sharing. Mm-hmm. And that is the biggest headache he's got right now. Mr. Jones down in Dallas don't want to give up all that money.
He's been fighting that for 20 years since he came in the league.
Well, I'm just telling you, they got to fight every year to keep their revenue share.
Well, they get so much TV money that, with these new contracts coming up, every team's going to pay their bills. But I'm sure Jerry says, hey, we can split up the TV money and I get to keep everything.
Well, he wants flexibility to sign his own sponsorship deals.
That's his big thing.
Didn't he get in trouble with the league a few years ago because he went outside to sign a deal with Pepsi or something?
Yeah, he's tried a couple things. He's tried that.
So
you got the Denver guy, he's pushing it. The Washington guy, he's pushing it.
Sure.
Yeah, well, the Ziggy guy might be pushing it in about 4 years when he's got a palace.
Will.
He's got his own palace.
Yeah.
$975 million. You can build a nice stadium for $9 million.
You can.
Hopefully with a roof on it. How about a roof?
Seats in that place today.
Yeah. A lot of empty seats.
There was a lot of empty seats.
But I'll tell you what, when they get the new one, that place will be full for several years.
It's going to be a retractable roof.
Let's go back to the Twins on that, because a lot of these corporates, after 3 years, there's no way they're going to pay the same price. There's just no way they're going to jump in when you got a Wild team that looks on the rise. Timberwolves are making some noise. The Vikings are good right now.
I agree, Max. I think some of that disposable income is being shifted over to other teams.
Yeah.
I think the Twins are worried about that. Dave St. Peter said the next 30 to 90 days are going to be really important for them to figure out what they're getting back in terms of renewals and their season ticket.
He says they're doing okay in their premium sections.
Define okay, though.
Define okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Define okay. He said they're doing well, actually. So.
Yeah, so I think the Twins know if they have a decent offseason.
Closing statement?
Closing statement? I always remember the statement Chris Wright said, there's not room for 4 pro teams to prosper here.
Let's end on that.
Okay.